everybody, welcome back to ERNA, the 76th edition of the Monster Energy FIM Motocross of Nations. We are in France, northwestern France to be precise. My name's Paul Malin, Jason Thomas alongside me once again from Fly Racing. And if race 2, which is the MX2 and MX Open category, is anything to go by compared to what we had in race 1, then we're going to be in for an absolute treat. It was fascinating right the way till the final lap or two, and you are going to see highlights, so we can't even try and keep that away from you. But Jason, it was a fascinating one, wasn't it? It had a bit of everything, you know, favourites going down at the start of the race, favourites being right at the sharp end where they needed to be, and you know, there was the top 2 in the world in MXGP fighting for that race win. Yeah,
I think it was a little bit of continuation from yesterday. You know, the best guys were still very, very good on Sunday, but I thought Aaron Plessinger really shined. He had a rough Saturday and bounced back with a pretty nice start to the Team USA weekend.
More than 100,000 people in over the course of the weekend, 102 to be exact, and we had that confirmed during race 1. They are absolutely crammed in like sardines, but you know what? Here, this venue, this kind of weather, you wouldn't change it for the world, would you?
No, it's perfect. To be, you know, it's in America for Fahrenheit, near 80 degrees, just perfect weather for October, you know, near perfect track conditions. Maybe some of the riders would disagree with that, but what a great weekend for racing.
Well, if you are joining us for the first time, you missed race 1, we will bring you the highlights shortly, but the track here, just over 1,500 meters long, just under a mile, and yeah, it's a mix of clay dirt, there's a little bit of rock starting to shine through, there'll be some hard edges and square edge bumps as the day goes on. From the finish line in a clockwise direction back down the start straight, that's where sector 1 ends, so it starts at the finish line, ends at 1. Sector 2, as you can see, 3, and then 4 is the finish line again. But if you missed it earlier, here's a recap of what happened in race 1. That was the MXGP and MX2 categories. Of course, no secret as to who these guys are supporting. Jorge Prado with the foxhole shot. He was about 10-12 gates over, maybe a bit further. He swept through the first turn. Look at Jet Lawrence there, number 7 in the yellow boots. He gets squeezed there. He came out around about 6th place. See, we're in 2nd. Fevre 3rd, look to the outside. Jet Lawrence went down, he picked himself up right at the back and he started a spirited ride through the field. These two fighting over 2nd place. Fevre got into that 2nd position and then he found his way past Jorge Prado. That was on lap 6. Fans erupted, but it wouldn't last long. Well, it did. It lasted for about 9 laps, Jason.
Well, it felt like that Fevre was going to make short work of it and run away. You see Roxon really squeezing Jeremy Sewer there, but there was a lot of that yo-yo type riding throughout this race. Ken Roxon stalling his Suzuki there, but didn't take long. He went from 3rd, dropped back to 5th, came back to 3rd, so nice recovery from him.
Bottom of the hill, and then Aaron Plessinger just getting caught as Kenny Roxon fired his way back through, and Plessinger would lose 4th on the final lap to Jeremy Sewer. It was a fantastic win though for Romain Fevre. Listen to that reception. Prado 2nd, Roxon 3rd, Sewer 4th, Plessinger 5th. Jet Lawrence eventually came back to 6th ahead of Geiser, Vial, Heerts and Hunter Lawrence. Lisa Leyland was down on the grid a few moments ago. She caught up with former MotoGP rider Andrea Dovizioso. Before that, though, riding number 3 from the US, Christian Craig.
So we're almost ready for the 2nd race of the day, MX2 and Open race. Let's talk to Team USA's Christian Craig. Christian, let's talk about the first race for you guys. Aaron, solid. RJ had a mountain to climb, but you guys are currently sitting in 4th. How are you feeling at this stage?
Man, AP did his job. He took the 26 gate pick for us and got off to a good start. So that gives me confidence for this moto. But RJ unfortunately had a tip over in the first lap, but came back to 16th. So I know he's capable of more of that. So going to do what we can with RJ in this moto and try to get him a best result. And then also me. I mean, I need to ride better than yesterday and attack more. I felt more comfortable in the warm-up. So that's the plan today, is to get a good start and run up there with those guys.
Well, Christian, let's talk a little bit about yesterday. We know you haven't really raced since April. You said you needed to do better, but how was the intensity out there coming back from an injury?
I think it was more a little bit of nerves playing into it, me riding tight, not picking the right lines, and then a couple guys got past me. I got a little flustered, but I've been here before. Obviously not at this event, but I've been on a big stage before. I know what it takes to win and to be up front, so I need to remember that. I know it's been a while since I've been on the gate, but this is I treat this like any other race, and we're wearing my flag on my chest. So this is for the team, and we try to put the best result in for today.
Have a good one. Thank you.
Here's how the riders line up then. France with pole position based on their low score in the qualifying races yesterday. Remember, they had an MXGP, an MX2 and an open qualifying race on Saturday. 1 point for a win, 2 for second, 3 for third. France with Tom Vial won the MX2 race, so there was a point, and Maxime Renault was victorious in the open category, and that gave him the maximum points possible. And so from that side, that's why France go to the line ahead of Spain, Australia, Germany, Switzerland, the USA 6, Belgium 7, Slovenia, the Netherlands and Italy. The Netherlands, though, down to one rider in this one. So Kai de Wolf on his own, no Glenn Koldenoff. He fell in the qualifying race yesterday, does not line up today. Tom Vial, fantastic first race. Jason Thomas.
Yeah, that was a heroic effort for them. They have a huge advantage going into to race 2 here, and the biggest thing of that, they haven't even had to think about a throwaway score yet, right? You use the best 5 out of 6, and to have 2 really strong scores coming out of race 1 just puts you in a really nice position.
Hunter Lawrence looks like he is the first Australian to the gate, so he's going inside. And his teammate Dean Ferris will go to the outside. Got away with a big crash yesterday in the rhythm section where Kenny passed Blessinger towards the end of the race. RJ Hampshire, unfortunate to go down on the opening lap with Oriol Oliver, but as Christian Craig said, came away with a good charge through 16th. He'll be looking forward to this one now. He's got that one race under the belt, maybe a little bit more relaxed coming into this one.
Yeah, well, they know what to expect now. It looked like both Hunter Lawrence and RJ Hampshire was on the inside, so their team's trying to give them the best chance for a good result.
And Langenfelder as well.
Langenfelder on the inside as well, and with Roczen having such a strong race 1, that gives them a great opportunity.
I think Maxime Renault, obviously, they get the first gate pick, so they will be 1 and 21, so Renault could possibly be around about the middle, and that is going to be a perfect sweep for that first turn.
Yeah, I really think if you're within the top 5 teams, giving your MX1 or MX Open in this particular case, that middle of the road, they still have a chance to pull the whole shot, right? And you give your MX2 rider the best chance for success. If you're 10th, 15th, 20th position, it really changes that dynamic.
Well, just looking, if we can hold this long enough, over on the left-hand side, Jan Panzer, Tom Vial,
there's Hunter Lawrence.
And Hunter Lawrence just there as well, yeah. So a few of the big MX2 riders are up on the inside.
Looked like Kai de Wolf was down on the inside as well.
Even the Italian there, about 6 or 7 over for Andrea Adamo. But as we head into race 2, the fly race in 15-second order, France are on 9 points. They lead the way. Australia on 16, Germany 17, America 21, Spain 26. That gives you an indication. 5 second 4 turns. RJ Hampshire with a good jump immediately. He gets squeezed
by Fernandez there.
27, Valentin Guillaume slides his way through. Christian Craig, Ryder's upside down. And number 14, Lucas Kunin in there. The Swede is in there as well, number 35, Philip Bengtsson. But who else got caught out in that melee? Christian Craig around the outside. He's emerging just behind the 15 of Everts. But it's Maxime Renault in there in 6th place. Where is Tom Vial? Did Vial go down in that carnage?
That was a really interesting decision there by Spain.
He's in 6th.
To put Fernandez on the inside, right? You see him get out front early. All of the other MX2 teams, for the most part, had gone inside. Fernandez was able to get out in front and pull those guys, and here he is with the whole shot.
Good start for the number 62 of Hamish Harwood of New Zealand there in black. But Guillaume, it was who kind of came away with the Vauxhall shot, and Fernandez now leads.
Okay. Yeah. Fernandez out front. That's what I was thinking.
So the 27 got in there first, but he's already been passed. But looking down here, Hampshire down in 32nd place. That can't be right. He got squeezed, didn't he? So did he go down? There he is there, though, surely. Yeah. Oh, that's Craig. That's Craig on the inside.
Yeah, that's Craig in the rear there.
So another big mountain to climb for RJ Hampshire.
Yeah, and it happened right out of the gate. Fernandez moved over on him, and everything went sideways from there. He had to just chop the throttle for a split second, and on a 250, there is no time to let off for a split second.
Maxime Renault at the bottom of the hill, looking to go down the inside of Everts, and he parks him to the inside. Almost left the door open. 5 and 6 up the hill. Teammates working in tandem. The 2 French riders. And Vial locked in behind Renault. Adamo there to the outside as well. Everts, parking Vial. He was looking to stay up there. Could have just tipped over.
Yeah, that could have been disastrous for Team France. They're in such a good position. Everything seemed to go really well for them so far.
Watch this here, Everts knows, Vial's there, watch him hit the brakes, and very little room to work in there for Tom Vial.
Well, we've seen a lot of decision-making through that split lane all day long, and Vial cut back to the right on the exit a little bit and made Everts' life a little easier as well.
Adamo a little high in the turn. He's right where he needs to be as well, but Liam Everts riding a 350 KTM this weekend as the open class rider. There he is, number 15 in the baby blue. You see where the water has gone down sporadically. They do have a very good sprinkle system here, and Guillaume tips over from second place. Picks himself up quickly, but that's a couple of points lost for Switzerland, who also have Arno Tonus as their MX2 rider in the number 26. He's in 22nd at the moment. Everts and Vial fighting over this, third, fourth place now. This turn very tricky. You don't realise how steep and off-cambered it is and how quickly it switches back on you. Oh, tank slapper there for Lawrence as he came out of the turn. Front end fighting left and right on the number 8 Honda.
And Everts looks really comfortable here. You wonder if he chose to ride the 350 because the chassis feels so similar. The bikes respond very similarly to a 250 versus the 450, which is a little bit more lumbering.
Just saw a flash of the number 30, Conrad Muse for Great Britain. He has a good start as well. He's in 8th place ahead of the number 9 of Dean Ferris, Australia. Vial goes inside. Adamo around the outside. But look, Valentin Guillaume and Hunter Lawrence, 250 versus 450. Hunter Lawrence just winning out in that particular contest. Hampshire up into 25th place. He's just behind Tonus and Lucas Kuhnen, who we saw get caught in that first turn.
First real shot of Dean Ferris there, trying to just stay on the rear end of Hunter Lawrence here as they move forward.
Yeah, that's him there, number 9 in the green and gold, exiting the final turn that takes them back onto the start straight. And Valentin Guillaume struggling with that right-hand side. It looked like he was trying to adjust the handguard, maybe, whilst on the gas at the same time, so not to lose time. But look at these three here, all Red Bull KTM riders: Liam Everts, Tom Vial, Andrea Adamo. This year's world champion, number 11 in MX2. Last year's world champion, Tom Vial. And Liam Everts, 15, up on the pegs.
Yeah, this is almost the past, future, and present of the MX2 class right here, all in one battle.
Of course, Everts' family know this place all too well. It's been kind to Stefan Everts over the years. Won his final Grand Prix here back in 2006. Won all 3 races in one day here, 3 different classes in 2003. But it's a third generation. Liam Everts now in 3rd place with Tom Vial, Andrea Adamo, Hunter Lawrence breathing down his neck, Guillaume, Ferris and De Wolf and Muse rounding out the top 10. Bonacorsi of Italy, he's in 11th place. Harwood, New Zealand, 12th. Christian Craig, 13th. He said you were talking to him yesterday, and obviously he was surprised about the track conditions here this weekend.
Yeah, this is just much trickier than I think most tracks in America. You have different types of track prep. It's much harder on race day. You know, the U.S., they will typically add sand, add dirt to make the texture a bit more conducive. But this is a typical French track, and I think you're seeing both Romain Febvre in race 1. You're seeing here from Renault in race 2, and Tom Vial's been strong all weekend.
We were to look up the positions in the championship. Oh, what happened there to Hunter Lawrence? Did he just catch the bank front end first?
Yeah, I think his front wheel slid and pushed him right into the bank and took it away.
Handlebars look a little bit twisted there as well. Take a look at the start once again. Fernandez leads, but it wasn't him. Watch this here. Fernandez, he comes across and squeezes Hampshire. And then watch this here. Takes the front wheel away of Koulas. And then the Brazilian goes down, and then Langenfelder's in there, and the domino effect. Oliver's in there, Yannis Mikulou's in there as well. Julius, there's the 14 of Kuhnen. Nowhere to go. So that's what happened. A little bit of tag team going on there with the number 18, Ruben Fernandez. You put the flag out now. France on 15 points, Australia on 31, Italy 46, Belgium 52, tied with the USA. And then we've got Spain 6, Switzerland, Great Britain, Germany and Slovenia, New Zealand 11. But look at some of the scores up there. France, their highest score at the moment is an 8th. So they are literally, if you just throw away that score at the moment, just for the fun of it, they would be on 7. Australia can throw away 10, so they'd be down to 21 points as it stands right now. So still in the hands of France at the moment. Here's Maxime Renault. He won the open race yesterday, the qualifying race, and he's in there, what, 4.2 seconds down on Fernandez, but he's got clear track ahead of him. Lap time's very similar last time around, both in the 53s, 1:53. But he'll be happy with that qualifying race win yesterday. That settled him down perfectly ahead of this, his first race, race 2.
Yeah, and if your Gauthier Paulin team manager has won this race so many times, what do you tell Renault here? What are you putting on the pit board as they go past pit lane here? Do you want him to settle at all because they're 2-3? They have a huge lead in the overall score, or do you want to see him go chase Fernandez, because that comes with risk. This track is really tricky. Renault wants to win in front of the home crowd, but you have to think about team score and how strong a 2-3 would be going in after race 2.
Coming into race 2, France on 9, Australia on 16. They know they have a buffer. I would imagine that Team France have said, right, we will give you your teammates' position. Maxime Renault in second, Vial in third, the lead MX2 rider. He's looking at it going, well, that's 5 points. We're already in a good place, you know what I mean? Because he doesn't see anybody ahead of him apart from Fernandez, Spain. And then he's got to think, well, then where is the, you know, it's not for him to work out as he goes along. The team will tell them exactly where they're at. And they've probably told him they're in a good place right now. He just set the fastest lap by a second. So the gap down to 3 seconds now, or it was a third of a lap ago between Fernandez and Renault. But Renault is closing in, hand over fist on the Spaniard. There he is, just going up the hill in the opposite direction, in yellow. Fernandez being caught. They had a late switch of team rider, didn't they? Because Fernandez was originally down as MXGP. They gave him the open class ride then last minute. I don't know why, but because it was initially felt that he needed time between races. So put him in MXGP, his first and last race, race 1 and race 3. But he's going to do back-to-back races now. But maybe they just thought that, you know, with Prado, maybe the advantage is with him. Either way, they've got both these guys in the last race a little later on.
Yeah, and you wonder if it was a little bit of strategy, thinking that Prado could maybe still put ones up on the board, and that would give an opportunity for Fernandez to do exactly what he's doing, be inside the top 3, versus if he had to race the MXGP class. It is so deep, and you see guys like Calvin Valender running around 10th, 11th spot. You know, if you wonder if it's just a numbers game going into Sunday.
Well, Andrea Bonacorsi up to 9th. He's edged past Dean Ferris of Australia. He's got Huckham Fredrickson, RJ Hampshire up to 12th place. Now, Josh Gilbert, Great Britain, 13. Hamish Harwood, 14. Camden McClellan, South Africa, 15. Langenfelder, who fell on turn 1. He's up to 16th for Germany. Then we got Jari Havisto, Jan Panzer, Lucas Kuhnen, and Christian Craig in 20th place. First race arm pump possibly for him and things like that, that nervous tension. Because he did make a good start. He was in around about 5th place. Yeah,
and you know, his best lap's pretty far up, but that last lap is a 2:10, so something must have happened there. It dropped some spots, but yeah, this track is, it's just not like anything that the American riders would typically see. Conditions are never like this for motocross, for good or for bad. It's just very French, and I'm sure they're learning and having to adjust the bike as the weekend goes on.
And they will have to adjust the bike as well in terms of mapping, suspension, gearing, tyre choice. I think the tyre companies, whichever tyre they use, will be taking care of that. And whether it's a mousse or a tube, you know, same again.
Yeah, but there's just no predetermined settings. You know, all these teams that they've ridden GPs here often many times, so they know if the bike is doing a certain thing, which direction to go. Teams that haven't been here, riders that haven't been here, they're searching that out. They're having to figure that out on the fly. There's just not much time to do that.
Maxime Renault closing again, 1.3 between him and Ruben Fernandez. Fernandez has had a fantastic season in MXGP this year. Won the first round in Argentina, his first Grand Prix victory. Had a few podiums along the way as well. Here's Liam Everts. He's in 4th place. He's about 2 seconds behind Tom Vial, the lead MX2 rider from France, and Adamo here in 5th. He's the second MX2 rider. Of course, we can work out the MX2 category positions. Obviously, Tom Vial was the first MX2 rider in race 1, so that's going to be an 8 points for him, and 3 in race 2, so 11. So he will be the MX2 class winner. Not a bad way to round out the home of Motocross of Nations for the Frenchman. Of course, there's still a long way to go, 16 plus 2. It's not done until it's over, of course, but at the moment, doing everything right. Camden McClellan has just moved up into 13th for South Africa. He's found his way past Josh Gilbert and Hamish Harwood, so the Brit and the New Zealander. And then Lucas Coonan now up into 18th as he goes by Jan Panzer. Meanwhile, bottom left, your race leader, Ruben Fernandez, still hovering around about 1.3. Here's Everts in 4th. Adamo 2 seconds behind him with his fastest lap last time around. That's why it's green, but not the fastest lap of the race. Hunter Moritz in 8th. De Wolf 9, the Netherlands. And he's the lone Dutch rider in this category this time around, which is why the Netherlands now down in 19th in the overall classification. Nothing in it between these two. Thought there'd be a sneaky look there, but didn't need to rush it. Good, smart riding that from Maxime Renault.
Well, we're only at the halfway mark. There's really no pressure to be found behind them, and I think Renault can be a little bit patient here and pick his spot to make a move.
Tries to get out of there earlier, just rein back some feet and inches. But Fernandez now going defensive, and that's allowing Renault just to pick his lines. Listen to the crowd here, absolutely sensational. We knew it would be, never disappoint. It didn't disappoint in 2015. Oh, he's up the side of the track, and I bet he can't get back on either. How far around has he got to go? Ah, fortunately for him, big mistake that then from Maxime Renault.
You saw him go for the quad, right, and he came up a little short and smartly went off the track instead of trying to save it and ending up at the fence there.
So a let-off for Renault and a let-off equally for Fernandez. Watch this hit, yeah, he was way offline there, look, and said, right, let's try and bring this thing home. I mean, the trajectory was all wrong, wasn't it? But nobody was almost facing there as well.
Yeah, that's a good idea. He did the right thing. Don't try to stay on the track because he would not have been able to.
But the ground hard underneath, and there's a lot of water gone down here and there. He could have hit the brakes and just slid and gained momentum and gone down there, but he obviously didn't. He stayed up, but he's got it all to do again.
Yeah, and I think there's plenty of time, right? It's probably a little bit of a wake-up call. It's like, hey, maybe don't try anything silly here. You know, I'm sure the entire French team down at pit lane let out a yell and a little bit of a deep, sigh of relief. But yeah, that's what I was mentioning earlier, is how much risk are you willing to take, right? Everybody wants to win the race, but don't throw away a solid finish here in second just because you're trying to win.
As it stands right now, France on 14, Australia on 33. Italy on 44. That's the top 3 standings at the moment, with a race still to come and this one to near its conclusion or reach a conclusion.
Yeah, it's such a unique event, Team France running 2 and 3. Normally, you would want Renault to try to run it, like, at all costs, get the win, right? But this is not that type of it. You have to make smarter decisions than that.
Lap times last time around, 1:53.302. Valentin Guillot, have a word with yourself. That handlebar, I'm not sure if you've got a problem with the handguard there. He was wrestling around with it earlier, but he did tip over, didn't he, earlier in the race? But Fernandez, 1:53.302. Renault, 1:54.455. And that was with the mistake, wasn't it? And then Tom Vial, 1:52.4.
It's quick. So
on a 250, quicker than the 2 guys ahead of him. And he looks like he's riding with some urgency as well, Tom Vial.
Yeah, this track, it's the harder it gets, the more it's going to come back towards the 250. It's not going to matter having as much torque for the deeper dirt, and he's going to be able to be a bit more aggressive. Where these 450s, the power is so abrupt, they almost have to be more careful than a rider like Vial would on the 250.
With the movement, the suspension there. I guess traditionally with Supercross, riders tend to run a lot harder, firmer settings than they would outdoors. And I remember when the riders came over a few years ago and they camped themselves out for sort of 3-4 weeks. Zach Osborne, probably before Assen in 2019. And remember Zach Osborne got waved yellows here. Oh, there's a rider there on the infield. Clear. And they were talking about how they were given the option, the Husqvarna guys, Anderson and Osborne, to run, at least test that European setting. Renault not going to get the job done there, and from one side of the track to the other, but they just felt it was too baggy, too soft.
Too much movement, yeah. Yeah, it's a very American thing to run a super stiff setting, but I'll tell you, on a track like this where the bumps are this hard and there's so many of them, it's really choppy, I don't think it's the right setting. It's a really hard track to have any comfort on, and you're going to lose traction having that stiff of a setup.
Watch this here. Tries to go around the outside. He launches off the bank as well. Look, back end comes round. Boom.
Trying to make the Jet Lawrence move that he pulled on Tim Geiser there, but you can see how difficult it is to find traction as the day
He's
wears on.
alongside, looks down at Fernandez as he flies over his head. Renault leads on lap 10, doing just what he did in the qualifying race. He wants a perfect weekend here, just like everyone on that bank, the majority of them anyway.
Yeah, and Fernandez looks like he wants to fight back a little bit. I'm always interested to see how quickly riders respond to a move there, but it just felt like this move was inevitable 10 minutes ago, and Renault was patient enough, although he did nearly crash, to make the move, and he should be able to pull a gap here.
Jakob Tarasak there, the Czech rider, just being lapped at 117. He's been down, look, you can see. Visor missing off the top of his helmet. But Maxime Renault already starting to put some distance between himself and Ruben Fernandez, who throws it away. The same place that took out Glenn Koldenoff. He's off the side of the track, look. Watch this here.
Loses traction.
Right there, and then from one side of the track to the other. Good job, there was nobody alongside him as well, but he goes down. Fortunately, not too hard, but I tell you what, hurdles, maybe not his strong thing there, that kind of pose. So Fernandez only had, we've got a 1-2 here, Team Friends.
Yeah, that was, you wonder if Fernandez was trying to respond to the pass, right? Because that's always the thing is how does he accept that? Is he like, I want to get the race backwards, understanding that second place is a really good result, just the same situation that Renault was in a few laps ago. You have to understand the situation and be willing to take a first, a second, a third, whatever's in the cards.
There is a dream scenario here. Maxime Renault and Tom Vial, a French 1-2, open class and top MX2 rider. They're going to be picking up 3 points from this race. Oh, wow. Who was that? That was Havisto. That's why there were waved yellows around that turn a couple of laps ago. And look how the bike just catapulted down there. Wow. But a dream scenario here for Renault and Vial.
Well, when Renault will have no idea what happened, he just won't be able to hear Fernandez anymore, and it's going to allow him to take a little bit of urgency off. But exactly what you said, dream scenario, to be able to cruise, and Vial's still there, 6 seconds back, but he won't be fearing Vial. That's his teammate. You know, this is the only team event of the year.
Oh,
Kyle Wolf down.
Kyle Wolf down, and Fernandez.
Nice block there.
So Fernandez in 8th, De Wolf down in 7th. So De Wolf just losing the front end. So Fernandez then picking himself up, trying to look around.
If you were wondering how difficult this track is, just look at the mistakes that are being made. These are the best riders in the world, and they're having a heck of a time just staying upright.
And that's riders that are used to these kind of tracks. France, they can throw away the 8th of Tom Vial from race 1. They will go into the final race, potentially with just 4 points. A win from Fevre, a 2 from Vial in this one, and a win from Maxime Renault. If they stay there, that is not a bad score. They could leave here with single digits.
Well, and I really felt France had the best team on paper, and it really wasn't close. But that doesn't always mean anything at this race. This race has so much chaos to it, but they are absolutely living up to what it looked like on paper, and they're dominating. You can't say it any other way. They are dominating this event.
5 seconds between the first 2 in the race, and here they are, a French 1-2, the 6 and the 5, Renault Vial. Tom Vial, he may not have had the best season in the US in his debut year, learning tracks and learning Supercross and all the rest of it, learning outdoors. But he's definitely not forgotten how to put on a show for the French fans and perform here at home in Ernay.
Well, for MX2, it's, you know, meet the old boss, same as the new boss. You know, it's he's really showing what it's been like for everyone in MX2, not named Jago Gears for the last 3 years. And I think he will find success in the USA. There was a lot of learning going on last year. Remember, every single race he showed up at, he got to ride for, I don't know, 25 minutes, and then it was time to race against America's best. It's a really daunting task, and I expect very big things from him in 2024.
If you're Maxime Renault and Tom Vial, and you're going through it just feels like they're going through the motions in this stage, doesn't it? They've, you know, 11 seconds the gap between Renault and Everts in 3rd. Vial just 5 seconds behind his teammate. They don't need to push each other on into forcing them to make a mistake. They just need to maintain that gap. I wonder how much of me is thinking, Tom Vial, is he still thinking, you know what, I can win this race?
I don't believe so.
He doesn't need to push.
I don't think so, and I think Renault's looking back knowing that Vial's not going to push the pace, because the more they up the intensity, they both take on more risk, and they don't want to do that, right? So I think both of them have a working understanding that it doesn't matter who's first, who's second, and I think if Renault was in second, it would be the same way. Now everything is set, right? It doesn't matter if you get first or second. The biggest key is to be standing at the top of the podium on Sunday afternoon.
You know what, I don't think, it's been a long time since we had a 1-2 from the same nation in the same race in terms of the nation, especially a 250 rider finishing second to his teammate.
Yeah,
it happened all the time in the 80s and early 90s, didn't it, with Team USA and things like that. 1 and 2s here and there, certainly at Maggiora.
But I think you need track conditions like this. The track needs to be hard, because so many of the tracks now are so deep and it's such power-robbing dirt. This is not that at all. This is more finesse. This is more technique. So the 250 isn't such a disadvantage.
Andrea Bonacorsi, number 12 for Italy. He is in 8th place. Got the call last minute because Mattia Guadagnini not fit to race. But Hunter Lawrence is up to 5th. He's found his way past Valentin Guillot. Whereas Bonacorsi here, just getting ready to go around a lapper. Bonacorsi in 8th place.
It's a really strong ride for Bonacorsi.
First time on a 450.
Absolutely.
At short notice as well. He's probably ridden one. Yeah, probably ridden one, trained on one a few times, but to come here at the drop of a hat, everything needs to be done, doesn't it? Like helmet needs to be done, kit needs to be arranged, and then by the way,
to that.
Yeah. And
no,
then,
yeah, it's a lot to put through, but you can see how big he is. He's just a really large person, which suits the motorcycle suits him. So I'm sure the adjustment wasn't as difficult as it might be for some. But I think it's always a great thing. It's an opportunity. You always wonder how people rise or do they cave to the pressure of an opportunity like this. But Andrea's been great all weekend.
Just saw the 11 of Adamo. He's in 4th. This rider here, 35, is a lap down. Philip Bengtsson of Sweden. It was a bit of a strange one, actually, as Adamo closes in on Liam Everts. Everts on a 350, riding open class for Belgium. Adamo on a 250. That's a great shot, isn't it? The overview of the track. But Adamo not about to give up, chasing down the Belgian ahead of him.
These guys have been battling for the better part of 30 minutes now.
The gap between Renault and Vial, 4.2 seconds. Not that it matters or it shouldn't matter. But half of me does think that Tom Vial thinks he can go after the win just to get a 1, on his scoreboard,
Yeah, I'm sure he wants to, but if you are a part of the team, you're just asking him to settle down, right? Don't force anything. Just like with Fernandez. Fernandez was in a great position. One small mistake can really change the whole dynamic of the day.
Yeah, Fernandez 7th, and that puts Spain in 7th place as well overall. Good ride this from Adamo. Sneaks up the inside. Everts just stays cool on his feet. Not bothered by the threat of the rider behind him. The MX2 World Champion this year, Andrea Adamo on the number 11 for Italy. Where is his teammate? He's in 8th place, Bonacorsi.
That's a really nice ride for Adamo. He was an unlikely MX2 World Champion. Nobody really had him picked to win it this year, and he shined through. He was consistent all season long. He took advantage when other people made mistakes, and to get 3rd or 4th, whatever he ends up in this particular race, I think just furthers that step. He's been under the tutelage of Antonio Cairoli all year long, and you can really see that shining through, the wisdom and the technique, and World Championships speak for themselves.
Almost came in a little too hot there. He was fiercely aggressive down that back straight, through those waves. He hit that city jump at the top of the hill, and then he just came in. It almost looked like he was about to run out. I was almost tensing in my seat, thinking, he's going to hit him, But he managed just to pull out of it at the last minute. Both these two riders stay up and stay in the race in, 3rd and 4th place.
I know that feeling, and I know you do too, Paul, when you've committed to the inside and someone starts to squeeze you and you have nowhere to go. You've already committed, and you're just hoping that you can get stopped.
Everts doing a good job of keeping Adamo at bay. Belgium need these scores.
Adamo's wishing he had an extra 100 cc's like Liam Everts does here, but what a great battle.
Watch this here. This was him a moment ago on the gas. Look at this, just attacking. And this is the thing that you know, in these kind of conditions, you know, the European riders, the European base riders, they do grow up on these tracks. They are used to these tracks. They just attack, don't they? There's a lot of movement underneath. They don't mind it getting a bit loose and breaking traction here and there. As long as they're stood up, they can deal with it.
Yep, and I would invite you, if you're ever curious as to the differences, go on these riders' Instagrams and look during the week at the tracks they're riding. A rider like RJ Hampshire, sand, really soft clay, lots of traction. They can be incredibly aggressive. A French rider riding in the south of France, growing up, no traction, lots of rocks. You have to have the perfect body English everywhere. It's just a completely different skill set that's developed. In a track like this, at a race like this today, you can really see that shining through.
Yeah, he just caught an edge there on that little double before the monster jump. Here's Christian Craig. He is now in 17th place. So, yeah, I wonder how much of that is just ring rusty, how much of that is bike setup, how much of that is just, you know, could be anything. But he did make a good start.
Yeah, I think that crash there that set him back really was the difference. You know, would he be in the top 5? I don't think so with the pace he's on, but could be 12, 13, 14, and you know, that crash really kind of took the wind out of his sails. But he's got to regroup. He's got to figure the track out, at least learn lines, because he's going to have to turn around and race here again in an hour.
When you look at how European-based riders as well have their handlebars a lot lower on outdoor circuits, he looks like he's got his bars and his bend quite far forward and quite high. Here's Adamo, still trying to chase down Liam Everts for that 3rd place. And going back to Christian Craig, you know, sometimes it kind of feels like you're just trying to oversteer a little bit. You know, it's difficult to get in those tight turns. So I just wonder, it's too late to make an adjustment now, but maybe something to work on in the future, possibly.
That's just one of those things with being unfamiliar with conditions.
Yeah.
You know, they've never faced a track like this in this situation, and he'll be better for it. He'll learn from it, and I think he'll even be able to make adjustments for race 3 here. Not necessarily, you know, bar positioning, but maybe go a little bit softer on the track, because it's going to be much rougher than I think he's probably anticipating, much choppier.
Yeah.
All of that energy transfer from every bump is going up into him. You soften it, back out the compression a little bit, and let the suspension work.
And actually, the only benefit that he has is back-to-back races. A disadvantage in some respects, but back-to-back, knowing the conditions of the track that you've just raced.
Right, it'll be exactly like it was. Maybe a little water added to it, but the same lines that you used in race 2, you'll be able to utilize in race 3.
It will be a completely different track for the likes of Roman Fevre, Jorge Prado, who raced 1, and now they will go in race 3 a little later on.
Yeah, and you wonder what adjustments they'll make. Will they try to predict what the track will be like with their tire choice, with any of the settings there? Because it is a little bit of a guessing game.
Adamo still latched onto the rear wheel of his normal MX2 teammate in MX2 World Championship. Just lighting up, that's what I mean. You see, just, you know, the way they attack that part of the racetrack. But this is good from Everts. You know, hasn't had too much time on the 350.
And a lot of that's trust, right? It's understanding what the motorcycle is going to do before it does it. If you're unfamiliar with conditions, you don't have that trust, you're going to be a little bit more tentative. And if you're tentative all the way around the racetrack, guess what that is? That's a few seconds a lap.
But the thing is, KTM chassis feeling very different, you know, very similar, isn't it? It's light, it's nimble, all it's got is an extra few horsepower here and there to deal with. Still needs the fitness to be able to ride it, though.
Yeah, and you wonder if these guys' chassis, being in the World Championship, they have different regulations. Were they able to make adjustments that maybe a rider like Christian Craig, he doesn't have any experience with, right? He's a more on production-based motorcycle.
We're into the final lap. Maxime Renault 2 seconds clear of Tom Vial. I wonder if he'll do what RJ and Bailey did in Majora in 1986, cross the line together, you know, over the line. Remember that day?
Yep, I remember Ryan Dungey, Brian Villapoto did it in 2010, I believe. 2011, okay.
In Saint-Jean?
Yep.
Adamo having one last throw of the dice here. Everts will go defensive this time. He's been going a little bit wider, hasn't he? But keeps the 11 at bay. Belgium need the points, Italy need the points. Italy are in 3rd at the moment. If he can find his way past Everts, that'll put them down to 41. Meanwhile, look, I asked the question, does Vial believe he can go for the win? And I think the answer is yes. Yeah, at the top of the hill.
This doesn't feel like Renault really checking up, right? This feels like Vial closing up to the rear wheel.
Yeah, because it's not like he's checking up waiting for his teammate, is it? He's still pushing on. This is 3rd. I think we need to see the battle for the lead as well. Here we are, bottom of the hill. Tom Vial, what an absolutely fantastic ride he's had in race 2. He wanted this race to be another 10 minutes or maybe another 2 or 3 laps. But Maxime Renault, he wants to win. So too does Vial. Either way, it's going to be a French 1-2. It does not get any better than this. Maxime Renault, Tom Vial, first and second in race 2. They have 1.5 hands on that Peter Chamberlain trophy, surely.
That's an incredible effort from Vial. You know, and he gets to sit back, put his street clothes on, and enjoy race 3. He's done his hard work, and he did everything that he could be asked to do. A second overall in that second in race 2 is just an incredible effort.
Hunter Lawrence here, he's going to cross the line in 5th place. He'll be the 3rd MX2 rider in race 2.
I think that's a good effort from Hunter. He was hurt. He wasn't even able to race the finale at the SMX Championship. So to come here, put in a strong effort, I don't think he could be asked for much more.
116 there, Julius Mikkola.
See Hunter stretching his arms out there, probably dealing with a little arm pump.
But Renault wins it from Vial. It does not get any better than that for the French fans. And for Renault, Vial, Gauthier Paulin, Romain Febvre, who has to come in now and line up for race 3. Didn't seem too much in the way of celebration between the 2 teammates there, though. You know, they just seem to sort of ride back, you know, past pit lane and whatever else. But maybe because they still know they've got a job to do. And Maxime Renault also has a job to do because he's lining up in not very long at all. The race going at 4:08 local time. So less than an hour from now. And of course, they've got to get back, get the bike washed off, get refueled themselves, cleaned up, cooled down. Great performance from Tom Vial. He will leave here as the individual MX2 class winner. What a day he has had. Almost caught his teammate Maxime Renault, but a 1-2, Jason.
Yeah, what we talked about, the internal struggle between wanting to win and also understanding that it's a team race. You can tell that that was weighing on him and not to take unnecessary risk. But what else can you say about Team France? They've dominated every step of the way so far.
And actually, had he passed Maxime Renault, all of a sudden Maxime Renault's going into this final race, you know, being passed by his teammate at 250, and there'll be some, you know, sort of like grudges there.
Right.
It's like,
why would you take that risk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's how the race finishes. Maxime Renault and Tom Vial, the French 1-2, they take 3 points. Again, the maximum points you can take in a race with your 2 teammates line astern like that. Everts 3rd, he hung on from Adamo. Hunter Lawrence 5th, Valentin Guillaume, Switzerland 6th, Ruben Fernandez 7th, and Andrea Bonacorsi 8th. Kai de Wolf, the Netherlands 9th. 3 MX2 riders there, de Wolf, Hampshire, and Langenfelder. Ferris was 12th for Australia. Then we had Camden McClellan, Jan Panzer, Josh Gilbert, his first Motocross Nations, with the 15th in race 2. Christian Craig, Tom Koch, Germany, Jürgen Matthias Talviku, Lucas Kuhnen, and Harry Kulas, and the rest of the riders. Good to see that Kevin Horgmo finally made it out there as well. Didn't finish the first race, didn't make it past the first lap. And Oliver, Harwood, Tonus, Muse, Mikula, Breslin, and the rest. And obviously the scores with France leading the way on 12, with all 4 races counting at the moment. Australia on 33, Italy 42, Germany 45, USA on 47, and 6th place Belgium on 50. And we've got Spain, Switzerland, GB, and Slovenia. But all of that can change in this final race. It's still not done because, of course, you know, anything can happen. It usually does, but things are looking good for France.
Yeah, France looks really strong. Kind of looking at the rest of the podium, I think Spain has a chance to really shoot up the leaderboard because remember, Oliveira's raced twice, right? And they'll drop one of those scores. Assuming Prado and Fernandez have a really strong race 3, they could really climb.